how to price, how to comp your listings, well, and buys too, right? But how to comp your listings in a market like this, because I think that we're all taught, by whoever teaches us, that you go back 6 months for comps, and that obviously you go neighborhood, and then you go, but you could go however far out. And so I know for me, what I'm doing right now is I'm really not even looking at, like, I'm looking, but I'm not counting sales that are more than about 90 days old right now. I definitely am looking at them just to like the 180 days, just to kind of see what the trend is. But for me, I'm finding that forward pricing, and honestly, Jamie, like what you just mentioned right now, like kind of going a touch lower on the price point, I'm finding that, forward pricing or forward predictions is really what's helping us, because I'm telling you, every single time that we've gone and we've said like, hey, this one closed 6 months ago and it's a model match and whatever, like, it's not working out that way. So I'm looking and I'm like, okay, so if I know a house sold for, let's just say 550 6 months ago, right? And then, but if I'm basing it only on the last 3 months and those comps are 530, right? I'm going 525 all day long on that, right? Because I want to base my listing price, not rely on old stuff. Because this is the thing I will say, and you guys I know this too, but it's like your buyers will always buoy the price. Does that make sense? Like, you can really screw yourself by pricing too high, but if you price 5 or 10,000, or and depending on the price point, even 20,000 or more, kind of under, the buyer, like if you're getting the showing activity, those buyers will bounce that price back up to where it needs to be.
Yeah, so. Totally agree. I tell my sellers that all the time. Like, listen, if you're 5 or 10 under the demand, like, so okay, so we get multiple offers and it drives it up anyway, but like, we have to be smart on the front end for sure. And I agree. I go about 90 days back if I can. I honestly, in this market that we're in, I would rather go wide than further back in the market. So if I have to go outside of the neighborhood to find a couple extra comps, because there just hasn't been that much. I don't want to say that much. There hasn't been as much activity in November, December, January, right? So if I have to go a little wider to find those comps versus 6 months back, I think that's smarter to do.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And let's be honest, right? For the like 9 out of 10 buyers, they're not like, oh, I'm only looking in, for Jamie's example, I'm only looking in 12 Oaks, right? No, they're looking in Holly Springs, they're looking in Holly Springs and whatever else you guys have nearby. So when they're looking at inventory, it's not like they're only looking there, right? And so one of the other things that I found super helpful, like in these transitioning markets as a listing agent, is put your comps out there, right? Like, put out what comps you used to price your home, because a lot of times agents, especially if they're newer into the market or they haven't experienced a transition like this, they don't really know how to comp. They don't want to ask, right? Or they don't have anybody to ask. They don't have girls with grit. And so they just go based off of what they know or what they think they know, and they actually get it wrong, right? And so it's not you that got it wrong. It's really more like them that got it wrong.
I think the hard part about comping, especially right now, is, it's always data, right? Like, we always look at data, but there is sort of this skill set involved in like kind of figuring out the tone of the market and the activity. So even if the data says one thing, I still think you need to back it up with, okay, what are other agents in this neighborhood experience as far as showing activity? Have they had any offers? How many days have they been on the market? Even though we don't necessarily use active properties for comps per se, I think you have to take all that stuff into consideration.
Absolutely.
And then balance the two, right? Then you kind of just have to, sometimes you just have to go with your gut on some of it.
Yeah.
And hey, I want to play it, and sometimes you're going to miss the mark, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get at that.
Right.
I want to respond to this comment, because I think, obviously, I've been in that market part of California, and I can attest to this, because I think that what happens is some of these appraisers, that's what they're used to, is just sticking to the neighborhood. But 9 out of 10 appraisers would prefer houses that have sold more recently, right? That are outside the neighborhood, versus something that sold recently, like Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, go wide. And you have to state your case too. You have to explain to them the reason why you went wider is because you found something outside the neighborhood that sold more recently versus the comp you found in the neighborhood sold 6 months ago or 7 months ago, and it's not even a true comp anymore because of how quickly and how swiftly the market changed. Right? You have to state your case.
No, absolutely. Well, and I was just going to say, kind of piggybacking on that, Jamie, I think that if you guys don't have the appraisal packet yet, you absolutely need to have the appraisal packet, because to Jamie's point, this is the thing, right? Appraisers are going to take the low hanging fruit just like everybody else in every other industry, right? So if they find 2 or 3 comps that are right in your neighborhood that are supporting a lower purchase price, they're just going to roll with that. But if you have an appraisal packet, I'm talking about this on the listing side, right? Because I think what's going to happen, I'm going to make a bold prediction here, but I actually think that we are going to find ourselves in maybe not quite as much as a 2021 frenzy, but I actually think we're going to find ourselves in quite a frenzy here in the next 90 days, because this is what's going to happen is you're going to have buyers who are finally just like, look, it is what it is. It's if I have to pay 5%, I'm going to pay 5%. If I have to pay 6%, I'm going to pay 6%. I can't continue to sit on the sidelines and rent. And so they're going to be back on the market. But what's going to happen is you guys are going to find that we're going to have much, much lower inventory over the spring and summer months, because you're going to have people that are staying in their homes because they've got those 2 and 3% interest rates. Those people would normally be cycling out. You know, normally we see 5 to 7 years staying in their homes, but I think we're going to see more like 7 to 10 years now because of these interest rates. So people that bought 5 years ago that normally would be cycling back into the market right now are not going to be cycling back into the market. They're going to be staying. And so we're going to have shrinking inventory, higher buyers, right? So high demand, low supply. I think we're going to be finding that. But the problem is going to be that these last 6 months have set a precedence for pretty low pricing, right? I think everybody's experienced some really low pricing comparatively, right, in their markets. And that's what the appraisers are going to use. So you are going to have to do your due diligence as a listing agent to create those listing packets so that you can cherry pick those comps and make sure that you guys are able to support those higher sales prices. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we dropped the link for you guys because there's questions rolling in. Someone's asking, is the appraisal packet included with anything or is it separate? The appraisal packet is $19. If you go to girlsofgrit.com/resources, scroll down until you see the customizable appraisal packet with the live coaching call. That was definitely market specific, but I think it still just talks about why and how to put a packet together. But it's literally a Canva template of everything you need and what you need to put inside your appraisal packet. And I know lots of women have used that and have gotten good success out of utilizing that. And it's huge. Like, just do it. It's one of those things that we're like, just freaking do it.